Will Sparks was born in St. Louis in 1862, just before the Civil War. Studied medicine, studied art, including in France, came back to this country, met Mark Twain, who was a fellow Missourian, and Mark Twain said, "Go west, young man," and he did. Like the young Mark Twain, he was a writer and newspaper reporter and illustrator and painter. He eventually arrived in California, 1889, located in San Francisco, became known throughout California as the Mission Painter, and had a 50-year career, died in 1937.
This is the Royal Presidio Chapel in downtown Monterey, also known as the San Carlos Cathedral. A wonderful gem of a painting, and that's part of the quality of this collection of mission paintings, this complete series in a smaller format. The suggestive aspects within the paintings and the concentration on more mood and reverie rather than being too literal in the depiction. In the foreground, you have the Alastero, also known as the lagoon back in those days. And what is very nice about this incorporates figures walking near the mission. Rarely did Will Sparks include figures in the composition. You have the moonlight reflecting. It's a nocturnal scene. Again, Will Sparks was really known as a painter of nocturnes. Another aspect about this collection is these paintings represent all times of day, from morning light, midday, through twilight hour, and complete nocturnes, with moonlight softly reflecting over the facade of a mission or the Asistencia. This is the quarters that housed Father Serra. His title was Junipero Serra's Adobe. The two walls supporting this side, this would have been Father Junipero Serra's residence. This has a jewel-like quality. The paint application is exceptional. You have a modest form represented, and the modesty and the humbleness of Junipero Serra himself, and that giving nature. It's a wonderful nocturnal scene framed with the cloudwork overhead. And you have the floral aspect here of life springs eternal, the circle of life, and the faith in humanity renewed. So there's a wonderful symbolism rendered in this small work. Each painting was conserved with archival varnishes. Any minor conservation or restoration, very little was necessary. And then we've had the museum framed as well. It's wonderfully represented in this order, so that you have that calling, that first calling with the mission bell. And then secondary, in midway, is exposure to Christianity into the Indian population. And then, again, the very humble structure, the beginnings of what could be a future mission. This painting, Sparks has made more of a thematic painting, and you have the strong highlights of moonlight overhead. So you have the mission bells represented, and there's more of a saturated palette within this painting. This also depicts, as many of the paintings in the collection do, the artist's predilection towards the Barbizon school. His early training in Paris, he was heavily influenced under major Barbizon artists. Softer values on the edges. The palette is termed later as a toneless palette. But this has a drama to it and good form and structure, so that it really, really stands out. You know, it's been very incumbent upon us to try and maintain this collection intact, and we have showcased it, lent it out for exhibitions statewide during the time of our stewardship. And our fervent hope is that this collection does stay together. However, if it is broken up, we wanted to make sure it honors the legacy of Will Sparks, the artist. Very rightly so, had the title of the Mission Painter of California, and also the missions that he dearly loved and that he represented so beautifully on canvas, both the spirituality of the subject matter and the physicality and the heritage that we are cherishing and restoring and trying to preserve again for posterity, so that it would benefit his legacy and that of the missions in this manner.
He signed in scarlet. Will Sparks, he was William, but he always used Will. And so anyone who comes and looks at any of those paintings, they're going to find the signature. In addition, there is his framed palette. When he finished the outpost at Santa Margarita, that was 2 days before his death. He must have anticipated that he would not pick up his brushes again. So he made his characteristic signature in scarlet on his palette. This is almost like a PS. Sparks traveled the Southwest. He was inspired to this fascination with the surviving Spanish Indian buildings by Mission San Javier del Bac, south of Tucson, Arizona. There are also 8 paintings that aren't California at all. They're northern and central Baja, Arizona, and New Mexico.